Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Talking Games with Kellie and Andrew. I'm Andrew.
I'm Kellie. I'm sick.
What?
I'm sick. I'm
sick.
sick
Of what?
of being sick, of which I am right now.
Well, I know something that'll perk you right up and solve all of your illness and make you feel better in every single way possible.
Okay.
Video games.
Oh.
Just like the idea of them.
Yeah, the thought maybe, but the actual, the concept is there. Love it, great, but execution.
What? No, not there?
Not quite there.
Oh. Well, maybe I'm just looking ahead. We have some good news today, right? Right?
Yeah. Sure, yeah.
It's more good news than bad this week.
I would say it's better than it usually is.
Yeah, we've had a rough recent past, but I'm optimistic.
Me too.
I hope that you are as authentic as I am, which is to say like 40% at least.
I'm probably at like a 20 if we're being totally realistic.
Okay, so like 20% chance that things are going to be great.
Yeah.
The video games still will exist though. Like they're not going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
There's a little bit too many of them coming out, to be honest.
Really? Do you think?
It's always too many. It's literally always too many. There is no circumstance where I can keep up with video games that come out that I am any degree of interested in.
See, I feel like you and I are quite different. Obviously, like the audience knows this at this point, but like I tend to go back to games that I've already played, and you are very much a not replayer. Like you just move forward with games that you're interested in, and you're more willing to try out a game that, like, even if you're not super pumped for it, you still want to play it. Versus me, if I'm not like really into it, I'm like, I can't do it. So I just go back to comfort picks. I think it's my anxious attachment style.
Well, as long as you have fun playing them and also talking about the news,
right?
Then this podcast is sustainable.
Yeah, that is so true.
True. This podcast is the wind energy of podcasts.
Yeah. It's almost like it's sustainable. Like we've made 154 episodes.
Is this 154? I thought there was 153.
I think it's 154.
If you're wrong, it's 153.
Are you absolutely, like, would you bet your life on it?
Yeah, because I can see what episode it is right there.
Actually, it's 154. So
No,
we're going to kill you now.
It's not.
Nope. Not. According to my reports, it's 154.
What reports?
My reports that I'm looking at.
Why don't I have these reports?
This is kind of a high-level strategic talking games with Kellie and Andrew.
Am I not? I'm not in the top level of talking games with Kellie and Andrew organizers or information havers.
You're you're what we call the talent.
That's very generous of you because I am quite talentless.
Wow.
All right. You're sick. I get it. You don't have to. You don't gotta rub it in my face.
I'm sorry. It's funny because the reducing noise thing popped up, but I was like, so nobody will hear me and they'll be like, she's not really sick. But then I realized we don't record through. Anyway, this is so uninteresting. Shall we get into it this week?
Yeah.
Starting off with some not great news. Bandai Namco has announced that, well, reportedly they have reduced its staff by more than 100 people. So they had like 1,294 employees as of April 1st, 2024. And as of February 4th, they now have 1,177. So very unfortunate. We know this because of the Japan Pension Service database.
I love when we report on them.
Kind of an interesting, like, who's scouring that, I wonder. Anyway, they did cancel some projects last year in 2024. According to Nintendo Life, this also includes one commissioned by Nintendo, so who knows what that could have been.
I'm really worried about Bandai. I feel like in our like it's so easy to just be like, oh, they make Elden Ring, they're doing great. But like, I think they have a lot of smaller projects that just don't hit, that people don't talk about. They probably have a lot of money in the mobile market. If all those projects that got canceled, that's a lot of just sunk money. Bandai has a lot of really valuable IP and a lot of really valuable talent, so I just hope that this doesn't, continue this direction for them.
Yeah. If you read the article, which I'm sure you have because you posted it, but for the listeners who haven't, allegedly, according to Bloomberg, Bandai Namco was using those expulsion rooms, basically where they put the employee in just like an empty room and have them do nothing for 8 hours or more, which makes them want to quit. So we're not really sure if these people were laid off or if they actually left.
Yeah.
Because of that. But either way, I mean, if you're using such a barbaric, like draconic thing to try and get people to sever themselves from your company, for lack of a better term, that's obviously just a very extravagant and dark way to get someone to quit. So
yeah, let's get our last bit of bad news out of the way too. Let's make this zippy so we can get to the fun stuff.
Yeah.
Warner Brothers was making a Wonder Woman game. Well, I should say is making. There is no cancellation that we know about, but we now have some information from the inside. Forbes did a pretty telling report that the Wonder Woman game is in serious development trouble. We found about this game years ago at the Game Awards, and it's supposed to utilize the Nemesis system, which for some stupid reason Warner Brothers has a copyright on, trademark on. That shouldn't be allowed to do that on a video game system, but oh well. But the one game was going to utilize it is now in deep trouble. At this point, I wouldn't be shocked if we hear about its cancellation in the not too distant future.
Yeah, what a bummer. It's weird.
Suicide Squad first, and then this.
Yeah, it's weird because it's the same like published, like WB Games made like the Harry Potter game, Hogwarts Legacy, and that was very successful. So it's a bit confusing as to like what's going on. So what about like the other Marvel titles? Like those are under different publishers, right? But they're no, this is DC. Okay. Yeah. Sick brain. Sorry.
Yeah, Warner Brothers owns DC, so.
Right. Interesting. What about the No, Blade is Marvel too, isn't he?
Yeah.
Well, never mind then. But that's kind of like we haven't heard. Wasn't that who was that was making that game?
Blade is Arcane, the Arcane that's still alive.
Okay, I'm just curious. Not to get off topic, but
well, it's fair to think about another superhero game because there's a good chance we won't be seeing this one ever.
Yeah, I guess I don't quite get it.
They're in a rough stretch because this is coming off the back of Suicide Squad. This is coming off the back of shutting down Multiversus. Warner Brothers has laid off a bunch of people. Their gaming division, it was reportedly up for sale. Like their gaming division it's not in clear water. It's in trouble.
Yeah, interesting. I wonder, like, what about that Game of Thrones game? That's not WB Games, is it? The Game of Thrones game?
That weird one that's like kind of a mobile game looking thing?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, I don't know. I mean, Warner Brothers would own it.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're making it now.
True. In news that will surprise absolutely no one, GTA 5 has surpassed 210 million sales. This is according to a Take-Two fiscal report, which is crazy, but also not surprising. This is like the greatest selling game of all time. So
that's too many copies.
And you guys don't even know that the original cut of me telling this news story, I was incredibly confused. So, a little behind the scenes for you. I sick, brain not work good. And I thought this was talking about GTA 6. And I was like, how's that possible? I don't even think it's on pre-order. And I don't know when the game's coming out. And Andrew was like, girl, like, what are you talking about? So
You can listen to the original cut on Patreon.
Just for transparency, that's what's going on there. So,
well, good for Take-Two, I guess. This is another sign that GTA 6 is probably going to be the biggest video game launch ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah. Yep.
Kelly, we had a Sony State of Play this past week. These are often bad and sometimes good. I'd say this one fell right in the middle. Wasn't terrible, but it wasn't great. But it did have some good stuff. So shall we jump into that? Give people the information. I didn't put absolutely everything in here because there's some smaller stuff that I knew we'd have nothing to talk about. But should we jump in?
Yes, let's jump.
So if you're a fan of Returnal, there's a new entry coming in that series, kind of. It's like a spiritual successor, but it's probably functionally a sequel just with a completely new story. And it's going to be called Sorrows. And it is coming out in 2026. We got a teaser trailer, featured an actor who I don't know the name of, but he was from, he was in, what was that show called?
iZombie?
Oh,
he was also in, his name's Raul Coley.
Oh, he was in Fall of the House of Usher, which is the only thing I know him from.
Yes, he was also in The Haunting of Bly Manor, so, and he was in Midnight Mass. He's been in quite a few of,
Ryan Murphy?
No, that's American Horror Story. Hold on. I'm actually going to be so mad when I get it because I love his work.
I don't know his name either, and I've watched all those except Midnight Mass, so.
Mike Flanagan.
He's
a frequent Flanagan contributor, collaborator.
Mike Flanagan is not making Sorrows, but Housemarque, who made Returnal, is. So if you loved Returnal and you want more of it, you're going to get it next year.
Yeah. Pretty cool. Supermassive also had a teaser for a game called Directive 8020, which is coming out this year, September 30th. This is an expanded look at that little teaser that we got like last year. It's basically seems to be, Supermassive, so it's an Until Dawn style game where you make choices and everybody looks very real. But it's set in space. It's science fiction. So that's kind of cool. This is their first foray into that arena. So it's interesting because I think that, I'm sure the writing team is different because I know they had layoffs. I don't know if those affected this game, but it's a little bit different because I think the draw of Until Dawn and The Quarry at that extension is like they're stupid kids and this is like a stupid movie. Whereas this game seems like it's taking itself a little more seriously. It is interesting because I do see it's tagged as the Dark Pictures anthology, so it is separate from. It is a part of that. It's not like a separate thing like The Quarry was or Until Dawn was. So we'll see how that goes.
I think it looks really, really... this trailer made me a lot more interested than the original because, actually seeing it in action. I'm also not totally clear on the release date because the video part of the trailer says October 2nd, but the description says September 30th. Those are very close to each other, though, so it doesn't matter too much. But that is confusing that PlayStation has 2 dates listed here.
There's probably some sort of early access thing going on.
Maybe. Because I also clicked on the PlayStation Store link and it just says wish list.
Yeah, so, I don't know.
But I think it looks quite good, but I'll hold out because the Dark Pictures games have not interested me until now. This is the first one of that series that I've been interested in.
They are so hit or miss.
Yeah.
Some of them are quite fun and then some of them are bad. But The Quarry was great.
But that wasn't Dark Pictures, right? That was just a separate thing, right?
Yeah, but it was the same teams. That's what I don't necessarily understand about them differentiating. I think Dark Pictures games are a lot shorter and maybe easier to make. I actually don't really know how they differentiate.
I think they're lower. They're generally lower budget is my understanding.
Yeah, so I think we shall see. But if they're able to do what they did with The Quarry and on a smaller level, I think that would be great.
If you want to play a game where you play stealthily, I tried. Okay.
Yeah.
Metal Gear Solid Delta. We've known about this remake of Metal Gear Solid 3 for a while. It was supposed to come out in 2024, and then 2024 came and went, and they didn't say a thing. But during this state of play, they gave us a brand new, pretty darn good trailer that also showed that the Ape Escape minigame is coming back, only on the PlayStation version. On other consoles and PC, it's going to be Bomberman minigame. We don't know anything about it other than it's going to be Bomberman, which makes sense. Konami owns that. But it's coming out August 28th, which is much, much later than I expected, considering it looked kind of finished and it's a remake and it was supposed to come out in 2024.
Yeah, I'm glad we got like a longer look at this, because it has been so like elusive. No jokes. I get that he's a spy and that's the whole point of the game, but I guess he's not.
That was way better than what I said.
Thanks. Sometimes the sick brain pays off, but I did just call him a spy. I don't think Solid Snake is a spy, or Liquid Snake, or whichever snake this is.
Venom
Snake.
No.
Oh, God.
Big Boss.
Big Boss. Come on.
I don't freaking know.
Boss Daddy.
I think Venom Snake is from 5.
We just call him Snake. Let's just call him Snake.
This is okay.
This is my introduction to Snake was actually Super Smash Brothers, so I was like, yeah, Solid Snake, and then I actually looked into the Metal Gear Solid games, and I'm like, oh, there's like a gajillion different snakes, and they're all called something different, and they all look the same. So that's awesome. Love that. Thanks. Yes. Thanks. Great stuff. We also got a Days Gone remastered announcement trailer, which is really interesting because not that many days have gone by since this game came out. Thank you very much.
Also, who played it?
Yeah, this is coming out April 25th, 2025. So,
yes,
very soon.
Yes!
2 months, not even. So, well, yeah, 2 months actually, more than 2 months. Anyway,
this is my favorite of the pointless PlayStation remasters.
So let me talk about the premise of this game. It's two guys who've one of their brothers. One of them's escaped from prison? ? And am I just stereotyping because he's bald? Sorry, tell the bald people. I don't think you belong in prison. Anyway, but they're zombies.
Lots.
And many days have gone by since the zombies have, but they were in prison, so that's why. Right. So this is out April 25th.
I don't think people really need to play it. I think you kind of covered all the bases with your description.
Yeah.
I guess really stupid.
Yeah, I got nothing else.
The lead designer of Grand Theft Auto 5 is making a game. I guess we have known about this. I didn't know about it. This was how I found out about it, but it's the first time we saw it, and that was Mind's Eye. It's out this summer. The trailer made me feel a little funky because it looks like kind of like it definitely has GTA vibes, but it doesn't appear to be a GTA game, and also a game of the scope that it feels like they're teasing couldn't have been announced now and released this summer. Like, there's no way that turnaround's possible. I'm just very sussed out on it. I don't trust it. I think something's weird going on here.
There's too many darn explosions and too many darn lens flare. I can't see a darn thing.
I don't think it's real. I think it's real. I just don't trust that it's like, it looks like it's going to be a bad game to me, but maybe I'll be wrong.
You know what it looks like? It looks like if somebody made a GTA 5 mod, like in the Unreal Engine or something. It looks like it's pulling a lot of that, which makes sense. It's from the lead designer, but I don't know. I don't know about it. I don't understand the branding is very sci-fi, but the game is just like you're driving in a car and then you're blowing things up.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'm not interested.
Me neither. I'm gonna start saying neither. Hell is us. Did you know that? If war is the closest we get to hell on earth, it's because Earth harbors the worst of demons. Mankind.
Wow.
Yeah, that's from the YouTube description. This is a war game. You're in a war-torn country. Comes out September 4th. It looks, some might say, a little pretentious, if you will.
I think it looks really interesting in the sense that like the way it's blending like photorealism and really trippy visuals is cool. But I just really hate the protagonist's hair. Like it's curly, and I don't think I've ever seen a like curly haired video game protagonist like this where I'm like, that's wrong. It looks wrong. And I don't know if it's the graphics or if it's just me having something against curly hair. I love curly hair.
He looks like a TikTok boy who's like grown into an adult man but never got a new haircut.
Yeah, and is suffering and living in a world that is totally not similar in vibe to Death Stranding.
Yeah, it seems a little derivative. I don't think that it's like, I mean, it does look interesting, but the description, I'm like, come on, man. Come on, brother. You can't be saying stuff like that. But
all I'll say is I'm interested to see it. I'm not one way or the other leaning yet.
Yeah. Yeah. So
a game I am leaning towards playing is Lost Soul Aside. We've talked about this a good bit. We even talked about it during our 2025 preview. We finally got a release date, May 30th. This game has been on the radar for 10 years, made by a single guy for so long, and then now it's being made by a team. I think it looks really good, and I'm like, it's been such like an elusive, not real game for so long that the fact that its release date is now just 3 months away from right now makes me feel uneasy, like something's wrong.
Yeah.
Does that make any sense?
No, I totally get it. I get it. Because it's like you think about it all this time, and it's like been to all these, well, it hasn't been to all these shows, but the last show was out, it feels like it was so long ago. Yeah, I mean, it's cool. It really looks like a Final Fantasy game, which I totally understand because the developer was a big Final Fantasy fan. I have to say, at the very beginning of this trailer, there's a shot where like the female character is sitting in her room, and it kind of looks like, you know, like the lo-fi girl.
Yeah.
She looks a little bit like her.
That's so funny.
And I enjoyed that. I guess she's your sister. I thought that this was going to be something romantic, but I apologize for believing that. So this should be cool. Eager to see how it all pans out. Eager to go on a big walk.
That's
perhaps
a different game.
At midnight.
Okay.
The Midnight Walk, which is a VR game. Oh, is it just a VR game?
No, it's on both.
Okay.
When it was announced as a VR game with the option to play on like regular PS5, and now they are pivoting to the very opposite of that because PSVR 2 is a flop.
Yeah. It's kind of like creepy cute. There's like a little lantern guy. He's actually very cute. But I do think it's like a horror game.
I think they're calling it cozy horror.
Cozy horror. Yeah, that's like the thing now, which is interesting. Because I feel like that combines things that I enjoy. Like I do like a cozy game, but I get very bored with cozy games. But horror, I mean, that's interesting. It's it's kind of like Little Nightmares or what's the other one? Inside, yeah. So this is the Midnight Walk. It is coming May 8th. So
I am really interested to see this one. The whole thing about it is like it's claymation, it's clay character models. Like they literally made clay figures and scanned them in, and now they're using those as the 3D models, which is super interesting.
Yeah.
I will almost definitely be playing it. Honestly, I was kind of hoping it would come to PlayStation Plus. Like it seemed like the kind of game where Sony would be like, "Oh, it's coming to PlayStation Plus day one." They did not say that, so I don't have my money on that anymore, but that would have been really cool. And also it looks like it's not going to be that scary, but if you played it in VR, it would be horrifying.
Yeah. I've recently discovered and learned about myself that I'm sure, I know we talked about this like last episode, but it's so different when you're like actually playing a scary game versus when you're just watching someone play a scary game.
Yeah.
Because you are totally in control of what you have to do next. And it is like, you don't actually want to do what happens next. So I can only imagine the extra immersive feeling of being in VR combined with that, even though it is kind of like creepy cute, like we were saying, like cozy horror. I mean, obviously it's still horror, so I'm interested to see how this one sort of progresses, and like, you know, maybe I'll play it. I really like the little candle guy. He's really cute. Or lantern guy, I guess. He's very cute.
I feel like this might be like a really big like a sleeper hit. I think this might be a really good game that kind of sneaks up on everybody.
Yeah, for sure.
We'll close out this PlayStation State of Play discussion with Tides of Annihilation. This is a new game from a brand new studio out of China. State of Plays lately tend to have games from Chinese studios that I look at and say, I don't think that's real. This game is that. It's a Chinese game that I don't think is real. They even released 14 minutes of gameplay after this trailer. If you're interested in watching more extended stuff, the trailer's incredible. But I'm like, when I watched that trailer, I was like, this cannot be real. And then they showed 14 minutes of gameplay, and I believe it has like traces of reality. But also the whole time I'm like, something's not right. There's a lot of little red flags flying up. So and also like there's no release window. So many of these Chinese games that we find out about, like we see them and they look incredible, but then they just disappear into the ether. And I feel like the only one that's come out is Black Myth Wukong. And like, are any of them real? Is this real? Kelly, is this real?
I don't know. You're asking the wrong gal. I think that you're right. It does look really cool. I feel the same. There are definitely some red flags. I heard my girl Shadowheart though, so I'm kind of in already. But
although the 14-minute preview has a lot more dialogue and it is rough. So yeah, I hope that they iron that out of it.
Yeah, I guess I feel like the no release window is very odd. I mean, this trailer you can tell is like totally designed to create hype. There's no actual like meat to it. And that's why I think it's interesting that they did the 14-minute gameplay thing afterwards. But this game looks like an amalgamation of like a bunch of other games. Like there's tons of like Dark Souls like design influence. There's tons of like Shadow of the Colossus influence with these giant beings that you're climbing on top of. The action is very interesting. So I don't know. I would love to actually see what this is all about if it is like real, because it feels a little bit like, you're right, like why do they have 14 minutes of gameplay and no release date? Just curious. I think that's a bit odd.
You're asking the wrong guy.
Yeah. It's kind of cool though. I don't know.
I mean, it looks, if it's as it looks without stipulation, it's going to be great, I think, because it looks like a cool Bayonetta, Devil May Cry kind of game with really good visuals and design.
Yeah, you know what I like? I like that it's all girlies. That's what I like. I feel like that is something that I'm immediately drawn to because I think it stands out from many, many other games that are similar.
Yes.
So that's kind of cool. And it's like King Arthur, I guess. It's like King Arthur kind of style, like story. Interesting.
You're asking the wrong guy.
Very interesting. Very interesting. That's it for the state of play stuff, as we talked about. And we have like 2 more news stories, and then we'll talk about, video games. Some more video games, if you can believe it. Scalpers are a big problem when you're selling consoles, especially brand new ones. So Nintendo says they have plans, preparations, measures in place to prevent Switch 2 scalpers. I assume this is some sort of like purchase limit. I really don't know what this means other than like a cart limit, but it's also like, how could you do that? Yeah, how could you possibly control that with all the retailers that are going to be selling this game? Like, I don't understand. Maybe they personally, like if you try and purchase the Switch 2 from them, but I don't even think they did that. At least with Switch 1, you could not buy it directly from them. Right. Like on launch at least. So right. Maybe
is
that's
it just them
maybe
saying that they're going to make a lot of them? Is that just what they're saying?
Yeah, I guess so.
Because like they hinted at that before, but then they said this separately, and I'm like, what could it be? I hope it's the truth at the very least. I hope that this is true and that they somehow have a means of avoiding scalping.
Yeah, I think scalping is one of those things that's like almost impossible to beat because people are very clever and they'll
They
find
love money.
ways to do anything. So, but
They love money.
I do hope you're right. I feel like if anybody could crack down on anything, it's Nintendo because they love to crack down.
Yeah, they'll be cracking down on my sleep on April 2nd because I have to be awake at 9 a.m. No big deal. I can handle that. Totally. However, I have to be awake and hype at 9 a.m. on April 2nd.
It'll be a good way to start the day. But
Hopefully.
Why will it be a good day to start the day?
The Nintendo Direct for April 2nd that has been confirmed, that is the Nintendo Switch 2 big reveal, is going to happen at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard. Here I am complaining, but if you live on the West Coast, that's 6 a.m. That sucks a.m.
They're fun.
I'm a little disappointed because I love a 5 p.m. Nintendo Direct. I love it because I do my work for the day, and I'm like, all right, finish my work. Time to sit down and enjoy a Direct. And I think it just throws me back to college when, like, if there was a morning Direct, we didn't watch it together. Like, nobody would watch it together. But if there was, like, an afternoon Direct, the lounge of the dorm where we lived, well, you didn't live there, but that's not relevant.
I lived
the
there
lounge,
my first year, just letting you know.
Yeah. Was there Direct watch parties your first year, though?
No.
Yeah.
The nerds hadn't moved in yet.
The nerds took over my first year because every time for like almost my whole year, probably all 4 years of college actually, because I had some friends who lived there well after I left because I was off campus, my second half of college, but I would go back for those Directs. That's where they would be watched if they happen in the afternoon. So I still have the mental reservation, like if it happens in the afternoon, it's better. So I missed that. But 9 a.m.'s fine. I'm going to be home. I have to work that day, so I'll be watching it from home. I'm so excited. I cannot wait for this. This is like, I'm looking forward to some video games, but this is the video game thing that I'm looking forward to most this year, is just watching this Direct and seeing what they got in store.
Yeah.
It's the future of Nintendo, and we don't know much.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. Going to be fun, going to be interesting, going to be hype. I'm going to be jumping up and down saying, yippee.
Are you...
Yippee.
What day of the week is this? April 2nd is a Wednesday, right?
Yeah, I'll probably be working from
April
home.
2nd is a Wednesday, so you'll be able to watch it live, probably?
Probably, yes.
It'll be exciting to know how much that thing costs and when it comes out and what games are on it.
Yes, I'm excited about the cost. I'm very much looking forward to seeing how much this thing will actually cost.
For a second, it's just like, I really cannot wait to pay for this. I cannot wait to give them my money.
Love spending money. I bought something I did not need today, and I'm very excited about it.
Is it podcast mentionable, or is it something that makes it's obscene and you can't mention here?
It's mentionable. For those who don't know me, and you all probably know me pretty well by now if you've been listening this entire time, because it's 153 episodes. But for those who don't know, I'm very much into water bottles and cups that I don't need. And we have too many in our apartment, in the place that we live.
No such thing.
Right. And there's a brand that I really like called Awalas. They're very cute, and they have different types of cups. So I have 2 Awala water bottles, 2 different sizes, and I have one very nice, simple, modern coffee cup. It's not a cup. It's like a travel mug. But Awala has a little travel mug, and it's really cute, and I love the color, and I bought one today. And if you know me, you know that I don't need that cup, that I have enough cups, mugs. But I couldn't help myself. It was like, something took over my body, and I hit the purchase button, and then I was like, what just happened? It's like I woke up out of a stupor. It was crazy.
It sounds like you made the right call.
Yeah. I think I did. And it's supposed to come today, but we'll see how that goes because it's already almost 6 p.m. and it's not here yet. So don't know about all that. Anyway, that was the purchase that I made today that I absolutely did not need to make. But I also made another purchase that I absolutely did not need to make, if we're done talking about the news.
Well, there's one last bit of breaking news. Do you want to hear it?
Oh, yeah, please.
Last of Us Season 2 premieres April 13th.
Oh. We knew it was April, right? We just didn't know the date.
Yeah, it's just the date. I figured just drop that in here so we would know.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That'll be right after White Lotus wraps up, right?
Yeah, I heard the new theme song is not good compared to the old ones.
I haven't watched it because I started watching it with my partner, and I'm like, I guess I'll rewatch seasons 1 and 2 before I get to season 3.
I'm sorry. I hope I didn't impress upon you any
The theme
opinions.
song is not a spoiler.
I actually really want to watch the 3rd season because for those of you who know me, which is probably all of you at this point if you've been listening for 150
I feel like this
episodes.
is a sentence you've said very recently.
I love Walton Goggins. I'm a Goggins nader. I'm a member, a proud card-carrying member of Goggins Nation. So I'd like to see him in season 3, but
you should watch seasons 1 and 2 first.
I know.
They're not connected, but I feel like it'd be good.
Don't I know it?
Well, do you want to trade back and forth on what we played and then end on the thing we both played?
Oh yeah, sure, yeah. But I did transition about spending money.
Is there something else you spent money on?
Yeah, it was a game that we both played.
Oh yeah, we'll get there.
Okay,
so save your shame.
Yeah, so everybody just pocket that transition that I had, put it in your pocket, and we'll reopen that in a little bit.
What else did you play besides that thing that we'll shame you on later?
So, I'm going to start with the game that is most everyone's playing right now. So as an avid Overwatcher, I'm sorry. A lot of people are really into Marvel Rivals. Like that's sort of the next if you like Overwatch, you should play Marvel Rivals. And it's free. So I downloaded it and I played it for the first time last week or maybe the week before. And it was okay. I understand why people like it because it does have the same sort of like loop that Overwatch has. Like it's a team game. There's different roles. There's ultimates. They even call them ultimates, which I think is kind of funny. And you do press Q, which is the same thing you do in Overwatch. But beyond that, I just don't really see like the one-to-one comparison. Marvel Rivals feels a little bit more hectic, for lack of a better term. I don't know if that's because I'm still adjusting to it. I'm still playing it. I didn't stop playing it. I have been enjoying it. My only complaint is I feel like, I don't know. It doesn't feel as satisfying to me when certain things happen. Like if you get a solo kill, it doesn't feel as satisfying as you do it. I hate to compare it solely to Overwatch, but I feel like it's keeps being
an Overwatch clone though.
Right. And I feel like it keeps being like word of mouth marketed as like, oh, this is the Overwatch killer, which I think is insane because I don't think that's true. But, and we've talked about it before, the people that play Overwatch, such as myself, if they haven't left by now, they probably won't be leaving. There's been many opportunities to get off the boat. We've been encouraged to get off the boat.
Yeah, you can't be gotten rid of at this point.
Yeah. So I will say I had fun with Marvel Rivals. I find myself wanting to play Overwatch more because I feel like I prefer the first-person gameplay to the third-person gameplay. But I think that Marvel Rivals definitely can stand on its own. And you don't need me to tell you that. There's so many people that are talking about this game. So
did you like it enough to play more, or is it an open and shut kind of case?
Yeah, I'll definitely play more. I just, like I said, when I boot up my computer and I'm like, I want to play an online game, I'm not I feel more inclined to play Overwatch, especially right now. They just started a new season and there's all sorts of, they introduced perks to Overwatch 2, which is different. They've never done that before. So it's changing the gameplay quite a bit, changing the meta. So I feel a little bit more inclined right now to play Overwatch, but kind of ebbs and flows. I was playing Marvel Rivals quite a bit like last week or the week before. The thing is, I have like 1,000 hours in Overwatch Overwatch 2 and 1 versus like 8 hours in Marvel Rivals. So there's obviously one that's more comfortable for me. But I will also say like the sound design, the character design in Marvel Rivals is so good. But it's young. I mean, there's not that many maps. There aren't that many skins. And obviously skins matter a lot more in a game that's third person where you're seeing your character more. And I think the maps was the thing that kind of killed me. Like, there's just not enough for me to stay completely entertained for those big, long sessions of play. Like, I don't know. You go to the same place like twice in a row and you're like, all right, I'm kind of over it. So I guess I'm just like spoiled for choice with Overwatch because I feel like there's a lot more map variety because they've had, 8-9 years to make those maps. So
yeah, it's just a younger game.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how the game develops and grows, and because it's definitely not going away. So I'm interested to see what happens, who they add, what maps they add, what characters they add.
Do you think you'll like keep it downloaded and play it as new stuff comes out, sort of situation?
I think so, for sure. Because I just don't see myself being like, I don't want to play this. I'm gonna not. It's not super taxing on your system. Like I played on PC, so it's not super taxing. And yeah, I'm sure it'll ebb and flow, and I'll get back into it. But there's all this new stuff with Overwatch now, so I'm kind of on Overwatch for the moment.
Yeah. I'm glad it's at least some degree of worth your time.
Yeah. I really enjoy playing Scarlet Witch. It's based on, like, the characters take their personalities and their appearances from the comics mostly. But they do have, like, alternate costumes. Like, Wanda has one that looks like that looks more like Elizabeth Olsen from, like, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. But I know you're not really a Marvel person anymore, but...
Anymore. I never was.
I distinctly remember going to the movies and seeing Captain America, freaking Civil War, with you and friend of the show Cameron.
Yeah, I've never cared. Remember, because you had to explain to me who people were while we were there.
I had to learn myself because they actually introduce a lot of characters in that movie for the first time. Like, that's the first movie we meet Spider-Man in. That's the first movie that we meet Black Panther in. Like, oh, like, why did they do that? Anyway, that's Marvel Rivals. And Spider-Man is in Marvel Rivals, and he is voiced by Yuri Lowenthal, which I think is fun.
That is fun.
He's really dedicated to that character, which I appreciate, because he's from Mentor, Ohio.
Really? I knew he was from General Cleveland area. I didn't know he's from there specifically.
Let me look it up. I'm pretty sure this is a fact shared by a friend of the show.
I thought he's from Lakewood.
Lakewood?
You're going to tell me in a second.
Lakewood, Ohio? Let
me
see. Oh, he was born in Alliance, Ohio.
Okay.
Eastern Stark County. So he's probably closer. He would have been born... Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's fun. What are you playing next? What do you go? What do you say?
What?
Tell me about what you've been playing, Andrew.
I've played a couple games. I'm going to start with the not new one at all. Yoku's Island Express is a little indie game. It is a Metroidvania where you play as this little bug. He's just a little guy, but he pushes a big ball around, and it becomes a pinball.
A pinball!
A pinball Metroidvania game. So you're exploring this world using pinball as like your platforming ability, and because you can't jump because you have a giant ball and it's heavy. But you can use the paddles using the triggers on your controller. It took me like 5 hours to finish. It was a really tight, cute, concise Metroidvania. It could probably take like 10 or 15 if you wanted to do everything that is on offer. But I had a lovely time. I traveled to Florida this past week.
Florida?
Yeah. And on the way there and the way back on the plane, I used my Switch and used the little kickstand. Well, the big kickstand because I have the OLED, and I put it in like the seat, the headrest, where they keep all of like the here's what you do when the plane explodes documents. Mm-hmm. And I was like, none of you losers have screens on the back of your chairs, but I do. Ha! And I played Yoku's Island Express because I was trying to find a game on Switch that I would not feel any shame playing when people could see it. And it had been recommended to me, and I had it downloaded on my Switch because I bought it on sale for like $3 a while ago. But I really, really, really like this game. It was like really good. If you like Metroidvanias and the concept of one with pinball involved sounds even a little bit appealing, please check this one out. And it's on sale for a few dollars all the time, so you can definitely give this indie team a little bit of love. They deserve it. It's an incredibly good game. I really had a great time, and the visuals and design and audio are super cute, top notch. And I'm sure Kelly loves the little guy that is Yoku. She probably loves Yoku.
Does he
Do you
look
love
like
Yoku?
Does he look like Goku?
No, it's a bug. It's a small bug.
Let's see about him. Oh my god, he's so cute.
I knew it.
He's just a little guy. He's just a little fella. Well,
what else did you play besides the thing that we'll talk about at the end?
Oh, so a few weeks ago, I signed up to be a part of the network test for Elden Ring Nightreign, and I got in for the PS5. Sorry, forgot how to talk for a second there. For the PS5, and I played that this weekend. I only played one session because I had kind of a busy weekend because it was Valentine's Day. Crazy timing from Soft, but yeah, I played on Saturday. I played 2 full games, and then I gave up because I got frustrated, but not for the reasons that you might be thinking. So I played the first. For those who don't know, it's an online game, and it's similar in the sense that, like, I don't want to say similar to Fortnite, but there is a storm, and the storm does encroach. So what happens is you get 3 days, in-game days. They're not like actual days. You get 3 in-game days.
You have to play for 72 hours straight.
Yeah. And you get to pick out of 4 characters. There's like a standard 2-handed sword guy. There's like and this was my favorite design-wise. He's like an eagle, like a bird man, and he has a big spear and a big shield, and it's like I've never seen that in a FromSoft game, just like a bird person. So I thought that was interesting. He reminded me of the Rito from Skyward Sword, but more bird-like. I mean, more like realistic. Like he looked like a bird, not just like a fun cartoon bird. I guess the Rito were in Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild too. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Sorry. Then there's a character named the Duchess, and she very much looks like if Maria from Bloodborne and the Firekeeper from Dark Souls 3 meshed into one. She's like, and Andrew, I think you would like this character because she's real fast and snippy. She's got a little dagger, and she's like, and her design's really cool. And then there's a mage character called the Recluse, and she was my favorite. She's very tall. She has long white hair. She's very well endowed. I'm sorry. And she wears a big pointy wizard hat. And that's anyway. So you can pick one of those characters, and basically what you do is you get dropped when you start the network test. You get dropped into the round table hold. It's a little different, obviously, than it is in Elden Ring, but it's got the similar room structure. There's a little area that you can practice your character in, and different buffs that you can use on your character. But basically, you pick the character you want to play, you find 2 other players, and then you get dropped into a zone. The zone that we were dropped into for the network test was very Limgrave-esque. It wasn't Limgrave exactly, but it had the same like style. Like it wasn't like Liurnia, it wasn't like Caelid. It was green grass, trees, very pleasant overall. I mean, pleasant from, in the Lands Between standards. And then basically you just like explore the map, and you buff up, you fight enemies. There are like mini bosses scattered around, and then as the storm encroaches, it pushes you and the 2 other players toward one point on the map, and that is where you face the boss for the first night. And we fought a boss. It was like a centipede monster. It's as
from Dark Souls.
I don't think so. But I might be wrong. I never played 2, so I might be wrong. Or it could have been in 3 or 1. I don't really know. But it was like a centipede monster. It was as unpleasant as it sounds. And at that point, in my first playthrough, the first time I went through, our third person left before we even got like really into it. So it was just me and one other person, and I was like, "Oh, okay." And it's a little hard to beat the boss with just 2 of you. I mean, we did it. I had to use a lot of my items, and I had to use. I was playing as the recluse, so I was doing a lot of sorcery, and of course, I ran out of FP, and then I ran out of FP items. So I couldn't cast magic, but I had a whip, and I was just like whipping this thing to the best of my abilities. And then we beat it, which was awesome. And then you start day 2. And then you kind of do a similar thing as day 2. The storm encroaches. And our day 2 boss was an Omen King. Basically the first boss of Elden Ring, the regular game. Margit. Absolutely whooped us so hard. I was like, oh my god. It's like they took Margit, they injected him with like the super soldier serum from Captain America. Well, a little Marvel reference for you. And he was just like, you know how he has that move in Elden Ring where he throws a knife at you?
Yeah.
He throws like 5 of those.
Okay, good.
And I was like, and we just got absolutely walloped. So I was like, okay. And then once you both die, or all 3 of you die, then you leave. Then you don't finish. So I was like a little bummed, but I was like, you know what? That's okay. We're gonna start again. Go again. I've got like 2 hours left in this trial. Let's go again. Started my next one. I chose the Duchess that time around because I was sick of the FP management. Once again, our third person left, like a minute in. And I was like, okay. And it was me, and the other character was the sorcerer. We had no tank. We had no super strong fighter. It was just a mess. And we didn't even make it through the first night. And I was really frustrated. So I queued up again, and like it was taking forever. So I don't know if they were having some sort of network issue where people were getting like disconnected, but I could not get into a third game. So I stopped playing because at that point, there's 3 hours in the network test. At that point, like 2 hours had gone by. And I didn't really have, I knew I wasn't going to have enough time to like really get into it again. So I will say if they were using it as like a beta test, I think it was fun. It's definitely different. You can't really like sit and appreciate the world that you're in. The storm actually does move quite fast. I don't know necessarily that if I get this game, if I end up playing it, I don't necessarily know that I'll be like super, super into it for a long time. I think it would be fun to get through all 3 nights once, but the truth is it's just, to me, it felt like the storm went a little too fast, and something that I always appreciate about Elden Ring and any FromSoft game is just being able to like absorb the world that you're in, because the storytelling is through the world that is around you. And I sort of feel like I didn't necessarily get that here. Maybe they were expediting the storm because it was a network test and they wanted people to get as many games in as they could. But I don't really know. So we'll see. I think I'll probably get this game when it comes out just because I was having a lot of fun. And I think it'll be fun when you're playing with people who are your friends. Unfortunately, with the network test, you couldn't do like a custom password. So I mean, as far as I know, you couldn't do like a custom password, so I couldn't play with anyone who like invited me to play. It was just randoms.
Yeah.
So, but it's not a big deal. I wish this game had couch co-op though. I think that would be really fun.
Yeah.
Especially because it's only 3 people, you know?
Yeah. I was really disappointed. I got invited to the beta and I was really excited. And then I realized I'd be in Florida for the entire beta test. And I was like, well, time to buy a PlayStation Portal.
Maybe they'll do another one.
I mean, the game's out soon. So at this point, this probably was just a beta test to check their connectivity stuff, which sounds like they did have some issues. But
I mean, maybe it was just for my session. I mean, there's a friend of ours, he played all of them. And he said that he had the most issues. I mean, he was saying that he had issues on Saturday. So,
yeah, I from everything I've heard, it sounds awesome, and I think the upped speed and like the elements that they're using sound really cool, and the fact that you run like so fast, sounds really satisfying.
Yes, and the thing that I liked, I did not realize there was no fall damage.
Yeah,
and someone in my party like jumped off a cliff, and I was like, oh my god. And then I jumped after them, and I was like, oh, because, you know, in Elden Ring, you're so punished if you fall from a great height.
Yeah.
That was fun. And yeah, you run really fast. The spirit steps are really cool. The little like birds that you fly in on. I mean, that part is very Fortnite. You know, it's like, where are we dropping, boys? It's crazy. But it's definitely, you know, it's still a FromSoft. I mean, it's still a Souls-like, so it's very difficult. The level up system is interesting too, I will say. Like you still level up at Sites of Grace, but it's very fast, like you said. So,
well, because you don't allocate stats, right? It's just leveling up, so you don't have to think about it. So you could just enjoy.
Yeah, you just kind of let it happen, which is cool.
For the game they're going for, that sounds like a really good thing to me.
Yes, for sure.
I'm excited to play this game. I'm almost definitely going to get it at this point, unless something's very wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So, I played another new release. We talked about this last episode, and that was Ninja Gaiden 2 Black. This is the remake of Ninja Gaiden 2. It came to Game Pass. It's on everything, though, if you're at all interested. It is a third-person action game from the Xbox 360 era. I didn't really know much about this game. I just knew people loved the second game specifically. So I went in on this one, and I had an incredibly good time. It was super fun, extremely fast-paced, extremely silly in a good way. The combat is really satisfying, not too difficult, but you can also turn up the difficulty and have a really, really rough time if you want. There's a lot of systems at play. This remake is pretty darn sharp looking. I'm very happy with how it looked. There are some elements that have aged a little bit weirdly, mostly just like the design of women in this game. It's made by the same guy who made... It was originally made by the same director who made Dead or Alive.
Oh.
So just, you know, be aware.
Yeah.
But there's not really a lot of story to speak of. The cutscenes are very, very short and usually just like at the start, and sometimes at the start and usually at the end of a chapter. There's 17 chapters. Most of them can be finished in like 30 minutes or less. It took me like 8.5 hours to finish the whole thing. I had such a good time, though. It was just a really fun, blistering adventure. It really gave me the same vibes that like my favorite Bayonetta games give me, which is just fun, action, and also it knows that the story is not important or not very good. Like, you just end up in places and there's no explanation for how you got there. And I think that's good. I think that's better than trying to contrive reasons for you to be in a castle in what appears to be like Venice when you were just in New York City. And also the castle in Venice is taken over by like werewolves, but we don't need to explain.
Right.
Just go and fight them.
Right.
But there's a bunch of different weapons you can pick from, not just the sword, and all of them are really satisfying. I genuinely feel like usually in games like this, I pick one that I really like and stick to it. And I did that a little bit, but then I started exploring the different options, and oh my goodness, some of them are so fun. And I had a favorite by the end because there's like a dual wielding sword that was really fun for me. But I was kind of changing it up the whole game, and I thought that was a really cool, like, it's rare that a game like this actually encourages me to play around with that kind of stuff and try different things. So I really had a great time. I highly recommend this game. If you have Game Pass, give it a shot for sure. If you don't, consider buying it. It's worth playing, in my opinion. And it made me way, way more excited for the upcoming Ninja Gaiden 4. I rewatched that trailer, and I was like, oh, wait, I'm actually really over the moon for this. I'm looking forward to playing that now more than I was.
Nice.
So, one more game, Kelly. What else did we play?
So, this was actually one of my most anticipated games this year. And I so anticipated it that I ended up buying it, even though it's on Game Pass, because I wanted to play it early.
So you bought it?
No, I just did the upgrade, the $25 one.
Okay.
So I bought Avowed. I mean, I didn't buy it, but I upgraded Avowed so I could play it on Saturday rather than wait till yesterday. Or the 18th, I should say, for Evergreen, to make it Evergreen. So I started playing it, got a few hours in. I have some thoughts. I think that I see the vision. I know and I feel what was trying to happen with this game. I feel that some of the execution has not been great.
Really?
I think the combat to me feels just a little too clunky.
Really?
Wow. I don't really like, none of the fighting styles feel particularly good to me. I was really excited when I got magic for the first time because I was like, okay, magic, like that's usually my thing. In every RPG, I tend to go for like the mage class. And I just didn't like it. Like, it's a spell book and a wand. It just is like, I don't know about that. It doesn't feel very powerful to me. Granted, I'm still in the very early game, so it could get super powerful. And I don't know. I guess I just feel like the role-playing opportunities, I was expecting a little more. It feels like it's a lot of flavor text, which is fine. But I wish that there was a little more to it. I think something that was interesting to me was like, there was a character that you meet super early on in the game where you can just like sort of establish that you have a romantic relationship with this character or not, or whether you had a romantic relationship with this character, and then everybody's like, they go with it. So it's like that changes, that stuff like that. I wish there was just like a little bit more of, but like, I do enjoy the design of the world. I like that it's very water focused, which I think is interesting. For an RPG, like a fantasy RPG, it's obviously like fungus is a big deal in this game because it's sort of a disease, but you have it because you're godlike. I was not super impressed with the character creator. I thought it was fine for what it was, especially since I believe this game was originally just going to be first person. But it feels like something's missing. I don't know what it is. I'm enjoying my time with it though, and I'm looking forward to playing more of it. I feel like I didn't get a super in-depth deep dive of the game because, like I said, I'm only a few hours in. I enjoy my companion, but I don't know if that's just because he's voiced by Garrus, the same guy that voiced Garrus. That might just be why. But I don't know. I like him a lot, and he might do it for me. Like, I might just be able to play the game for him, His name's Kai, if anybody cares.
I'm honestly quite surprised by what I'm hearing.
Really?
So I'm not as far as you because I just started playing today. So I'm a couple hours in. I'm kind of loving it. And it could change easily. But, like, I think the combat feels like I'm used to Bethesda combat, which is, this is very similar to that.
Right.
And Bethesda combat sucks. Like, it's bad.
Yeah.
It's very slow, but that's kind of fun for some people. It's very deliberate and slow. This is very high octane and, like, there's a lot more action focus. Like, the fact that you can, like, block and you can just, like, press the button right before they hit you and it does a perfect block. I mean, it doesn't do anything, but, like, you block it and don't take damage. And, like, the way you can, like, when you're using magic, you can bob and weave using the dodge button to avoid damage rather than blocking. Especially compared to Bethesda, I feel like right off the bat, I'm in love with the combat compared to that. Like, I love how fast it feels. And
yeah, I feel like when you're comparing it to a Bethesda game, it is better. But I think that for what it is, for like what it is coming out as, I felt like I wanted it to be a little bit more. But I agree that it's definitely better than any Bethesda game's combat, to be totally truthful with you.
It also looks like there's a lot of depth, like a lot of customizing that you can do. So I hope it kind of meshes with you more as you get into it, especially with all, like, if you stick to Magic, there's so many options and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought the spellbook system was honestly kind of cool, like the way you're like holding a spellbook and then you hold the trigger, and it's like instead of aiming with the left trigger, it opens like a little spell menu, and you can quick select from that menu.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's really cool. But I'm very keen to play more. The visuals really kind of blew me away. I feel like a lot of the trailers we've seen, it looked bad. And I'm like, y'all were bad at making footage, because like the combat looked bad, the visuals looked bad in that like long deep dive we saw, and this does not look bad. This is a very colorful game. There's a lot of, I feel like the visuals are really nice. I like that your character doesn't speak, and that feels like classic Fallout to me, where you're like walking around and it's just looking at the person while they talk to you. I really like that style. I think I'm just feeling nostalgic. Like, this is how Skyrim felt to me when I played it.
Yeah. It's definitely, it does.
That's why I'm in.
Yeah. It feels like it has the DNA of an older game. And I really enjoy that too, because I feel like it's just so, I don't know if rare is the right word, but it feels like these types of games just aren't, like, the last Bethesda game was Starfield. The last Obsidian game was like, what, Pentiment?
Yeah, but before that was Outer Worlds.
So it's kind of like the DNA is something that every person who is into video games, they probably feel a lot of comfort with, because like obviously like everyone has the game. Like maybe it was Fallout 3, maybe it's New Vegas, maybe it was Skyrim, maybe it was Oblivion. And I feel like I want to get more into this game because I want to get more into the characters and the story. That to me is more important than the combat. Because I am impressed with the world. Like I think, and obviously they have the benefit of it being Pillars of Eternity. They have the benefit of existing in a world already, kind of like Baldur's Gate had. Like you exist in the world of D&D already, so you don't have to do that crazy intense world building so much. I mean, you have to do it to the extent where people know what's going on, but you don't have to establish brand new races and places and dialects and stuff like that. But yeah,
and I feel like I'm more of a combat boy than you,
right?
Or like you're more of a story person anyway, so it makes sense that if the get-go is like combat focused, it makes sense that I was a little bit more impressed than you are.
Yeah, I think eventually we'll probably meet in the middle. Like maybe I'll get more used to the combat, and as we both progress in the game, I'm interested to see how, if our opinions stay the same or they change or whatever. But but I am having fun. I am enjoying it, and I actually am quite glad that I got it early, that I was able to play it earlier, because I feel like it. If I had waited till yesterday, I wouldn't be able to talk about it. But also, I don't know. I'm just glad I had more time with it than feeling rushed. And I hope continue to have more time.
That's my thing. Is I was gonna potentially just play it for like an hour or two to get an idea, like, because I thought there was a non-zero chance I'd play an hour or two and be like, okay, I know what's up, I'm not playing anymore. But that first chunk made me be like, I am playing this game, and that alone very much impresses me. Like I was shocked how hooked I've been.
Yeah, for sure.
And like, it's to its benefit. Like Dynasty Warriors kind of got me out of my video game lull that I was in. And like I've just been liking video games lately more than usual. So this game has the benefit of that having happened. But I do think that it's not just that. I think this game also has some really, just some really exciting bits that I'm just excited to explore this and talk about it more in the future as we've played more.
Yeah. Same.
And also, I'm going to try to play Lost Records, Bloom and Rage, which came to PlayStation Plus. That was one of the things they announced during that State of Play.
Yes. So, yes. I am also going to play that.
Yeah. Yippee. I've heard okay things, but I want to play it for myself and find out.
Yeah, I feel like it's
How
so
long is
hard
it?
these days. I don't know. Life is Strange wasn't super long, but it was also episodic, so
Well, this is part 1 and part 2, so
it's probably a few hours.
let's find out. Ready?
I'm going to say like 8 hours, 8 or 9
For part 1?
for part 1 and 2.
Oh. Part 1, according to a long play on YouTube, is around 7 hours.
Oh, okay.
That's longer than I'd expect.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Maybe I'm misremembering how long the episodes were for Life is Strange. I don't remember them being that long, but I mean, obviously this is different games, so they don't have to be the same. That's my only frame of reference of like a don't nod game.
Yeah. Well, we'll probably... Also, I realize now it's Lost Records Bloom and Lost Records Rage. So,
It's
Lost Records...
It's Lost Records Bloom, Min, and Lost Records Onion.
I really think we should probably call it there, Kelly.
Okay, well, thanks so much, everybody, for listening to this week's episode of Talking Games with Kellie and Andrew. I hope you really enjoyed the episode. I hope you're taking care of yourself. I hope that you have a really wonderful day today, a wonderful week this week, a wonderful month, a wonderful year, and we will see you in 2 weeks with more Avowed impressions, with more... What is there anything coming? Anything else?
Are you getting Monster Hunter?
See, this is what I do. Is I'm not going to get Monster Hunter because I never play enough to justify the purchase.
But
then I see everyone else playing it, and I get really bad FOMO, and I want to make a cute Monster Hunter. So I'm like, maybe I'll get it. So maybe I'll get it, and we'll talk. Yeah. And I think
we might be back next episode with some Monster Hunter.
Yeah. I think it would be fun for the show to talk about it. And it looks really pretty. I'll figure it out. Thanks for listening, everybody. Go live your truest self, and don't let them keep you down. Power to the people, man. Okay, bye. Sorry, you can cut that part out.